of another guy who didn't have a good Olympics by his standards and responded today and responded in an even bigger way. This, I think, was the biggest, most consequential result of the entire meet. And that's Michael Norman in the 400. 43.60, the second fastest time of his career, breaks the Diamond League record. And as you're watching this race, you're watching the first 100, you're watching the first 200, looks pretty standard. It looks like the race we've grown accustomed to see from Michael Norman and this 400-meter field, except when Stephen Gardner's in it, because Stephen Gardner is still able to drop some sub 44s. And it reminded me that we had forgotten a bit about the magic of Michael Norman. And that magic was 2018. That magic was early 2019. And there were flashes in between. He'd run an amazing 100 or amazing 200 here. But it was really those first, I mean, you could even go back to 16 if you want to talk about him being a young superstar. But I'm talking about that 400-meter dominance. I'm talking about Eugene, NCAA Outdoor Championships, 43.61. I'm talking about 43.45 at Mount Sac. Those types of performances where it's just, you're just a bit in awe and you're wondering what the potential is of this guy. But it had been a while since we had seen that, and there had been reasons to doubt. And it all changed with 200 to go. Because 200 to go, he started to push. And it started to remind me of 18 and 19. And I thought, well, hold on. Wait a second. Still got another 100. As we know, so much can change in the last 100 of a 400. And then the last 100 happened, and he just poured it on and poured it on. And the margin grew. And I thought, hey, this time is going to be quick. Either that or this race is just really slow across the board. But this is going to be something special. And he crosses the line, 43.60. I said, whoa, I jumped up off the couch. Because I think most people, after a certain amount of times, you wonder if it's going to come back. You wonder if it's going to be there again. And we've seen his struggles throughout the last couple of years. Injuries have been an issue with him before. And we just didn't know if he would get it back. And we've seen 400-meter runners be amazing when they're young and then hit a peak, and that's it. Right? So people were rightfully wondering, hey, are we going to see this again? But then you see the time go across the board, 43.60, and you're like, he's back. He is back. And this is going to be an exciting next couple months. And it makes you think back to when he ran earlier this year in Japan. I don't know if you remember that race. This is 44 and change. And I wondered why afterwards he was so down on himself in the interview. They did the winner's interview. And they're like, hey, you won. How do you feel? And the person giving the interview is probably expecting him to be all bubbly and, yeah, it's great to be here. I really just wanted to get the victory today. It feels so great to open up my phone. No, he was so down on himself. And this makes sense now as to why, because he knew he had this in him. And he knew he had it in him not because of some distant memory. He had clearly done something in practice, run something recently where he knew this was a possibility. Now, he had run that good 200 this year too, where he lost to Curley at Mount Sac. So we knew that sort of performance in there, but we just hadn't seen it in a 400 in a while. He wins trials last year, 44.0, and that's fine. And then in retrospect, beating Michael Cherry is a good win just based on how good and consistent Michael Cherry's been. But we really need to go back farther. We really need to go to 2019. We need to go to 2019. I mean, USA's, he gets beat by Fred Curley, runs sub 44. But you almost could go you almost need to go back to that Mount Sac race. You almost need to go back to 43.45 to when we were in this endless possibility phase of Michael Norman, to where you could throw out any American record. Sure. World record. It's a possibility. First guy under sub 43. Like, none of those questions were off the table with Michael Norman. And then in a matter of a couple years, he just became another guy in the 400. So this was a complete throwback performance. I'm excited about it because what it means for the 400, right? Because now Stephen Gardner's got someone to run with. I mean, you saw how well Ryan James ran well today, 44.0, and was a little bit farther back. I mean, it's going to up the level of the event, bringing it back. And I think Gardner's very underrated, right? I think Norman had a lot of attention for good reason, but Gardner wins gold medals. That's what he does. But now with Norman going 43.60, and that's a rare. I looked this up. There's only been 12 faster 400s ever run in history. He's run one of them, the 43-45, but only 12 people have covered a 400-meter circuit quicker than Michael Norman did today. So to me, hands down, that was the biggest performance of the day, the most consequential, the most surprising, whatever you want to slap on it. It was Norman telling us he is back and he is here. And everybody should be excited about it. He even got some props from Michael Johnson, which, if you follow Michael Johnson's Twitter account, sometimes it's hard to get props out of Michael Johnson, but he called it a masterclass, an absolute masterclass. And that is the right way to put it. Let's transition to mid distance. Let's talk mile, and then we'll go men's mile, women's 1500. A lot to talk about.